All right. Can you guys hear me? We good? Awesome. Yay. Well, welcome everyone. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to anyone who is tuning in from the States. I'm semi-celebrating solo today, but so a little bit about myself just to get started here. My background is primarily in nutrition and yoga and business. I operated a cold pressed juice business. I founded and operated it for about 8 years and parted ways with it recently. But I got connected with the Health Style Emporium that we'll be going into a little bit later. And I was a Juice Plus skeptic for a very long time, for years actually, having been in the Whole Foods and juice business. I was like, what is this stuff? This can't be true. This can't be real. But long story short, it changed my life. And this business has also changed my life. Um, and I'm just excited by the holistic approach in general. I think we can, eat all the kale salads and run all the miles we would like every single day. But if our mindsets and our cells aren't being nourished completely, then, we'll still feel like crap. So I'm really excited to be able to dive into the topic tonight and share another webinar with you guys. So I just want to thank you all for being here. First of all, this is something that I know all of us ladies are passionate about, and we'll be helping present this masterclass tonight. So feel free to sit back, relax, tune in, grab your notebooks, and I hope this serves you, and I hope you learn a lot tonight. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat box as they come up, and we'll try our best to get to most or all of them. So if you didn't already know, we are part of a beautiful holistic program that I mentioned before, the Health Style Emporium, which focuses on fusing the mind, body, and soul so that we can live, the most energized life, feeling at home in our bodies and really thriving just to feel, our best, happiest selves. Our motto is eat well, supplement well, live well. I love that motto. It's just so true, and so it resonates with me a lot. But tonight we're going to be discussing PCOS and how we can support our bodies, minds, and soul using a holistic approach. So we will be giving you all a sneak peek into the program at the end, which is super exciting. This program is 120 days long, and it teaches us how to create healthy habits all around. So not only just eating well, but also teaching us how to be more mindful, practice gratitude, drink more water, move our bodies in a way that feels good for us in our unique way, become more present in our lives, leave behind what no longer serves us. It's a big one. Having meaningful relationships, finding our passion, balancing our hormones, and so much more. So we're really all about the holistic approach and balance, because though nutrition is a huge part of our program and approach, it's really just one small piece of the whole. So I am going to pass this over to Laurence, who's going to be discussing today's topic. And yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you, Nicole. So as I mentioned, I have a lot that I want to share with you guys today. So if I talk quickly, I apologize, but there will be a recording. So I'm super excited to share this with you today. My name is Laurence. I'm a holistic nutritionist, health coach, life coach, also NLP practitioner and hypnotherapist, because I really learned early on from my PCOS journey that it wasn't just about nutrition. Like holistic healing was just so much more than that, which is why I just became obsessed with learning more, hence all of the certifications. And so I've really been on a crazy journey with my PCOS. It was a very long struggle. And this is why I'm so passionate about helping others, because I think that I did have to go down that route to share with others how to not go down that route and how to really find holistic healing, because you really can reverse your symptoms and feel really good in your body and achieve what you want to achieve in your life. Like, it's all possible. And so this is why I really love to empower women, especially with PCOS, because there is a lot of negativity, a lot of doubt, and just a lot of lack of belief. And so this is where I'm really, really passionate about sharing this. So I'm going to start with explaining what is PCOS, because I know that this is thrown around a lot, but it can also be confusing. So basically, it's the most common endocrine disorder and cause of infertility among women of reproductive age. But it's not just about the ovaries and fertility, it's also a metabolic disorder, and it really looks at the whole body. It affects the whole entire body. And so it's characterized by polycystic ovaries. It's also characterized by irregular cycles and anovulation, as well as high androgen. So those are the male sex hormones like testosterone. And so it's said to be found in 1 in 10 women, or up to 10% of the world's population, affecting about 10 million women worldwide. However, it's said to be actually more than that because of its deficient testing and misdiagnosis. So it is a rather complex disorder. It needs to be properly diagnosed because it can mimic many other conditions. And it's a multifactorial disorder. So it arises from interactions between genetics, but also environmental factors and intrauterine factors as well. But then we also see things like lifestyle, diet, infectious mediators also will impact PCOS, increase the risk of PCOS, and also worsen phenotypes because there can be different severities of PCOS and different types. So I'm going to get into the types today. I'm going to have a little mini presentation so you guys can have a little bit of a visual. So let me see if I can share my screen. There we go. Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen. Perfect. Okay. Now I need to find my notes because I lost it. All right, so we're going to start with insulin resistance. This is actually the most common type. And when I'm talking about types, it's actually important to remember that you will actually usually be a combination of all types because they all feed into each other. But it's usually about what's your dominant type. So that's what we mean like with what is your type. So this one's found in up to 80% of women with PCOS, 95% of women with obesity. But it can also be something that you can encounter if you are lean. So you don't have to be overweight if you have insulin resistance. And so studies have found that there is a defect in the post-receptor insulin signaling in PCOS women. And so when we have this constant high insulin, this can decrease sex hormone binding globulin, which is basically a protein, and increase testosterone production. And that means that we have higher amounts of androgens floating around in our bloodstream. That's not good because then we have all of these symptoms that we don't like and all of these other problems. And so signs and symptoms can be things like fatty liver, skin tags, skin patches, easy weight gain, excess belly fat, fatigue, sugar and carb cravings, insatiable appetite. And then there will be different testings. Some of the most common ones are fasting glucose, fasting insulin, and HbA1c. And so the thing I really want to stress here is that we really are demonizing carbs. I'm sure that you've seen this, especially online. Carbs are really not the enemy here. In fact, you can absolutely reverse insulin resistance and diabetes with an entirely plant-based diet. So that's just to say that carbs are not the problem if you can do that. So there are many problems and things that can promote insulin resistance. Things like poor diet. So this can include refined carbs, refined sugars, processed foods, trans fats, inflammatory oils, excess animal protein, excess saturated fats, artificial sweeteners, all of these types of things can worsen it. So it's not just about, carbohydrates. Nutrient deficiencies like magnesium, chromium, chronic stress, lack of sleep, sedentary lifestyle, smoking, overeating, gut dysbiosis, inflammation, and hormonal birth control. So that is a little bit of a summary of insulin resistant PCOS. And the second one is inflammatory PCOS type. So we have this chronic low-grade state of inflammation, which is characteristic of PCOS. However, if this is your dominant type, you might encounter some typical symptoms that are associated with high inflammation in the body, and this could be driving your condition. And so chronic inflammation will trigger testosterone in the ovaries, and then this can impair insulin function, but then also inhibit ovulation and impact the menstrual cycle, while also making it more difficult to maintain a healthy weight. So signs and symptoms of inflammatory PCOS could be things like belly fat, food sensitivities, gut problems, skin conditions, headaches, PMS, depression, anxiety, brain fog, joint pain, fatigue, frequent infections, like you're getting sick a lot, and insomnia. And then some causes, inflammatory foods, some big culprits could be obviously the processed foods, but also gluten, dairy, eggs, soy. The thing about this is though that gut dysbiosis is going to be really a prime factor in inflammation and a prime driver. And this is most often the inability to tolerate certain foods comes from a poor gut environment and not necessarily the food itself. And this is what happened to me. I reacted to every food on the planet and I literally had to eliminate so many of them. And it wasn't until I actually healed my gut that I could reintroduce so many of these foods. So just something to keep in mind. Chemical and toxin exposure as well, chronic stress, blood sugar imbalances, and infections like SIBO, H. pylori, parasites, etc. And so common tests that you'll see will be like the CRP, homocysteine, autoantibodies, and white blood cell count. And it's interesting because a study found CRP, so this is a prime marker of inflammation, in women with PCOS was increased by 102%. So that's a prime example of how much inflammation is really driving this whole condition. Next one is adrenal stress PCOS, and this was the main one that I was really dealing with. And this is an abnormal response to stress. So this is where the androgens are originating from the adrenal glands. So this is a rarer form of PCOS. It's more common in lean PCOS women. But as I mentioned before, stress will still impact all women regardless. And so this can increase inflammation, it can increase insulin resistance, it can also inhibit ovulation, increase fat storage because there are actually more cortisol receptors in our belly area. And so this is why a lot of the time you might see or experience, you're going really hard on the treadmill and you're really exercising really hard, but then you have this like belly fat that just doesn't move and just doesn't bulge. And a lot of the time, this is because of the cortisol and the hormonal aspect of it. So women with PCOS have been shown to make more cortisol than non-PCOS women. And our bodies may have higher levels of the stress hormone based on the way that we break down our hormones, but there will also be additional factors as well. And so signs that you might have a stress problem could be, let me know if any of these resonate in the chat. You have trouble falling asleep even when you're tired. So it's like tired and wired. You wake up feeling unrested even though you've had plenty of sleep. You experience sugar, carb, or salt and fat cravings on a regular basis. You find yourself irritable or moody quickly or for no reason. You might experience an energy crash around 3 or 4 p.m. You crave stimulants in the afternoon. You feel down without really knowing why. You have weight issues or abdominal fat. You get sick often. You have hormones that are all wacky. You have menstrual fertility issues, poor focus or memory, or digestive issues. These can all be tied into stress, and stressors can include anything from blood sugar imbalances, overeating, undereating, not enough sleep, excess caffeine, inflammatory diet, lack of exercise, unresolved emotional trauma or unprocessed emotions, lack of play, lack of pleasure, lack of fulfillment. The list goes on and on and on. It's not just about like a significant traumatic event that is a stressor. It's really anything that puts your body out of balance. So the last one is not really a true form of PCOS, but I'm going to include it because it is still technically a form of PCOS. And so the pill is really the number one prescribed solution to PCOS, but is it actually a solution? I also started with the pill and it was quite a journey after that as well. So I want to talk a little bit about, I'm not here yet, sorry. Okay, there we go. I want to talk a little bit about some ways that hormonal birth control can shift the body. And so it has been shown to deplete important vitamins and minerals for healthy cycle that are needed for healthy cycles, ovulation, insulin, hormones, thyroid function, and so much more. It can trigger or worsen insulin resistance by modifying carbohydrate metabolism and decreasing insulin sensitivity. It can suppress adrenal gland function and trigger HPA axis dysfunction due to increased cortisol production. It can compromise the gut microbiome and deplete the gut microbiome. And so this can increase leaky gut. And this is definitely a prime driver of inflammation. It can also, sorry, I keep doing this. Okay. It can also combine hormonal, just letting somebody in. All right. So combined hormonal birth control can also shrink ovaries up to 50% and reduce follicles. And so this can take 6 to 7 months, 7 months for a woman's ovaries to actually normalize. And it can take twice as long for women to conceive post-pill. Also increases the risk of depression. There's many studies that are showing this, and it's been shown to increase the risk of being prescribed antidepressants by 23%. So as you can see, it actually can make many of the underlying imbalances worse in PCOS, which is why many women feel worse when they get off of it. And post-pill PCOS is more of a temporary state of PCOS that's triggered by hormonal birth control, which shuts down ovulation and worsens insulin resistance and inflammation, thus creating a more PCOS type picture. And there can also be a post-pill androgen rebound effect, which is usually like a few weeks or a few months. And this is where we can see symptoms like acne or hair loss occur. And so for me, hormonal birth control is not a solution. It kind of helps to suppress symptoms for a period of time, but it really doesn't address any of the underlying factors or address the root cause. So now the fun part, we're going to get into what do we do about this? So managing PCOS holistically. So these are some foundations I'm going to touch on that are super critical. And when I shifted my focus from finding the perfect PCOS diet or supplement to really focusing on me, my healing, my needs, my intuition, everything changed. And this is also what I help my clients do. So these are some really important foundations to address for long-term healing with PCOS, but also healthy hormones. So number one is nurturing the microbiome. So women with PCOS have been shown to have very different microbiomes and fewer types of gut bacteria than women without PCOS. And so diversity in the gut is absolutely key for good health and also PCOS management. Studies have found that actually higher levels of testosterone and symptoms like hirsutism, so that's like facial hair growth, were associated with changes in the gut microbiome. And the higher a woman's androgens, the less diverse her gut microbiome tends to be. So not only do PCOS women have a more compromised gut, but in general, our environment does really not support a healthy gut. So it means we have to be even more conscious of this. The good news is, though, that dietary changes can rapidly change the abundance and variety of species in the gut in as little as 24 hours. So this means it can change it for good or for worse on depending what you eat. So obviously you want to eat things that promote a good, healthy gut, which we'll talk about later. I have a really hard time talking today. So what you eat really, really matters on a daily basis because it can literally shift your whole microbiome. The next one is balancing insulin. So I can stop sharing my screen now. All right, the next one is balancing insulin. So as mentioned, insulin resistance affects many PCOS women, and it's a key driving factor in the pathogenesis. So it's really important that we focus on a whole foods diet that's not going to be spiking our blood sugar all day long, and to avoid the obvious added sugars, refined carbohydrates. But you might actually be surprised to hear that it's not just about those foods that can worsen insulin resistance, but others could be dairy foods, high intake of meat products, low-fat yogurt, whey protein, processed foods, damaged fats and oils, artificial ingredients, high fructose corn syrup. All of these foods can damage insulin receptors or actually spike insulin and cause other different imbalances, which can impact our blood sugar and insulin. So it's not just about carbs, it's really about if you overeat any macronutrient or any food, it's going to make insulin resistance worse. Balance is really key, and we do need all macronutrients. And as mentioned, a plant-based diet can actually reverse insulin resistance. So that just means that carbs are really not the problem. An anti-inflammatory diet is absolutely essential with plenty of fiber, and this will help to reduce inflammation and help with insulin regulation, but also supports that healthy microbiome, which is so essential for healthy blood sugar. And so, of course, we want our meal to have healthy fat, protein, and complex carbs to have all of those macronutrients and stabilize our blood sugar. The next one is improving estrogen to progesterone balance. So it's actually been shown that women with PCOS have a dysfunction in their estrogen receptors. So they can actually, instead of making enough estrogen, they're making excess androgens. They're converting to the androgens. But the thing is, since we typically don't ovulate, we're not making enough progesterone. And so we typically will see an estrogen dominant state in any case. And so this is where we can have this imbalance of estrogen to progesterone. And we also have these xenoestrogens that can be bombarding us from our environment as well. And that can also impact our estrogen levels and this imbalance. And so there tends to be a scenario of high estrogen, lower progesterone, and high androgens. And so that can be very problematic. And it's really important that we are ovulating on a monthly basis because it's when we make progesterone. This really helps to stimulate GABA. It's really important for healthy bones, for weight loss, for thyroid function, blood sugar balance, hair and skin health. It also reduces the risk for breast and endometrial cancer. And this is where we want to have progesterone in the second half of our cycle, dominant, and make sure that it is high enough for a significant amount of time before it drops off when we have our period. And so benefits of regular ovulation could look like regular cycles, lighter cycles, less PMS or period symptoms, improved libido, improved mood, improved long-term health, and reduced risk for chronic disease. And so the other one I want to talk about is regulating your circadian rhythm. So this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. Everything really relies on the circadian rhythm. It's like this sleep-wake cycle, our 24-hour clock. Every organ in the body has its own 24-hour clock. And we know that during the day, our bodies do specific tasks. And then during the night, they do other ones, usually around repair and regeneration. And with women with PCOS, they've actually been documented to have dysfunction of their circadian rhythm systems. And this is actually associated with insulin resistance, as well as obesity, intestinal problems, mood and cognitive issues, increased risk for chronic disease like cancer, cardiovascular disease, and dementia. So Leah will be chatting more about resources that we have inside the Health Emporium platform to support you with circadian rhythm balance. But it's really about going back to basics and living more in tune with nature and being mindful of your light exposure, bedtime, wake up, and those things like that. So it's really about your lifestyle. Next one I want to talk about is managing stress. So we talked about stress, how it's really, really important that we address this. And this can increase androgens. It can also increase inflammation. It can worsen blood sugar. And women with PCOS have been shown to be nearly 3 times as likely to report anxiety and perceived stress compared to women without PCOS. Remember, stress falls under different categories, not just emotional, not just mental, but also physical, chemical, biological. There are so many different stressors. And it really does impact the female body on a whole other level, because when we're under stress, the body doesn't care about making babies. It's really just looking at like, what's the threat here? And so it can absolutely impact your cycle, your fertility, your ovulation, and your period. And so we also have to remember that we've never been faced with stress levels like we are now being faced with ever before in society, even though it's now normalized, but our bodies just like can't keep up. And so this is where we're seeing a lot of health problems show up, and obviously mental and emotional problems too. And so we're designed to handle the occasional minor stress, and this adaptive response is actually beneficial to making us more resilient. But it's when these stressors are experienced too much for too long and it exceeds our personal and social resources available that they actually become harmful. So we do have like a bucket. If we just keep adding onto it and over pours, then we're going to have a problem. So it's not about deleting all stress. It's about managing it, becoming more resilient, and regulating that nervous system. And this also includes our thoughts, because the biggest stress is usually coming from the thoughts and the stories that we have and the beliefs that we have in our minds, and unprocessed emotions, unresolved trauma, things like that. And so your beliefs are really going to be big influences on your healing and what you experience in your life. So this really can't be overlooked on your journey. And one thing I want to say about this is our subconscious beliefs and identity create 95% of our reality, and they control our health. So it's a really big deal. And this is why I decided to become trained in subconscious reprogramming, because it truly can be the missing piece to healing and creating success in your life, especially when all the physical pieces are in place and you feel like you're doing everything right. And then the last one I want to talk about is toxins. So this is an important factor in the development of PCOS and its symptoms. And exposure has been shown to start in utero, which is also linked to the PCOS pathogenesis. And so there are actually nearly 800 chemicals known to play a role in hormonal disorders and disruption. And this list is only growing. It probably is much higher now. And these endocrine disrupting chemicals have actually been linked to many health issues and a lot of hormonal issues like endometriosis, PCOS, hypothyroidism, preterm birth, miscarriage, decreased egg quality, obesity, etc. And so these chemicals can alter the production, metabolism, and activity of our hormones. And then they can also worsen estrogen receptor status and functioning in PCOS women, which we've already seen there is something going on there. So BPA is something that we talk about a lot. It's this chemical that we're always looking at, BPA-free cans and all of these types of things. This chemical has been shown to be found in higher amounts in the blood of PCOS women, but it's really not the only chemical we need to be aware of, because there's so many other toxins. The good news is though that, okay, there's a lot of toxins in our environment, but we do have control over a lot in terms of what we put into our bodies and on our bodies. And we do have a webinar inside the Health Emporium that talks about this type of things, like what we might be accidentally poisoning ourselves with in terms of what we're choosing. And so this is why awareness is key, and you really do have a lot of control over what you put on and in your body. And so now I'm going to get into the supplements. part of this webinar. And this really encompasses another sort of holistic foundation that I really want to just add on top of everything I just said, which is about nourishment. So nourishing your cells with, the fuel and the energy that they need and the nutrition. But then nourishment is what we really talk about in the Health Style Emporium. It's about mind, body, soul nourishment. And this is so much more important for female hormones to actually be in balance. It's really about that nourishment piece. So when it comes to supplements, we don't believe that you can out supplement an unhealthy diet or an unhealthy lifestyle, which is why our program focuses on all pillars. And it's really about using our partner products, Juice Plus, as a foundation and a way to bridge that gap between what you're eating and what you want to be optimally getting into your cells. And so these really allow you to get that nutrition into your cells and get that health that we all desire. And so this is why we partnered with this company that Nicole touched on at the beginning, that has provided 3 signature products, which we'll be talking about today. And they target the main health systems. And I'll also be talking about how they can help for PCOS. And so no one's perfect. This is also why we focus on bridging the gap and focusing on what we put on our plate, what we do in our lives, how we live, and then making sure that we have that foundation of nutrition in place. And so when we look at, how many fruits and vegetables we should be eating, only 1 in 10 US adults actually eat the recommended amount of fruits and vegetables. The optimal amount is 7 to 9 every day. I definitely don't get that every day. Usually most days probably, but not every day. And the thing is, we're severely undernourished and we're just counting calories most of the time. We're not counting nutrients, which I think would be much more efficient. And the thing is, we're just lacking fruit and vegetable servings for a lot of us, lacking maybe education around nutrition, easier access to unhealthy foods. I know it's a lot easier to find unhealthy foods versus healthy foods, soil depletion, overprocessing, treated water, etc. And so it's really difficult to get everything that you need from food alone, which is why I bridge the gap with these guys. I'm waiting for my berries to come back because I'm currently out of stock, so I'm very sad about that. But this is one of the most researched nutraceuticals in the world, which is why I really love them, because they have the science that backs that up, but it's also literally just fruits and vegetables. And so these fruit, vegetable, and berry capsules, which I'm out of right now, are going to be really flooding our cells with phytonutrients and antioxidants. And so what I want to talk about here is that circulating markers of oxidative stress and inflammation are abnormal in women with PCOS. And so inflammation only worsens PCOS phenotypes, increases androgens, and raises the risk of chronic disease, but also hormonal imbalances. So phytonutrients and antioxidants, how can they help? They can help to reduce the burden of these compounds, which can cause inflammation, by reducing that oxidative stress and putting out the fire, basically. And so these plant nutrients are shown to improve reproductive health by protecting egg quality and reducing DNA damage. They can improve insulin sensitivity, the glucose response, and metabolic health. And this is why we see so much success with more plant-based diets with things like insulin resistance, diabetes, hormonal imbalances, that kind of thing. They can improve energy levels by improving mitochondrial health and energy inside the cell. They can improve brain health by promoting blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients, slowing the breakdown of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, and supporting nerve cell communication. And they also positively impact cardiovascular health, also a big risk factor in PCOS. And so these whole food capsules are conveniently encapsulated to prevent oxidation, and they contain micronutrients from 33 different plant foods, and they are absorbed into your bloodstream within 3 to 5 minutes because they are bioavailable. And so these are 33 different varieties of fruits and vegetables, many of which I do not regularly or ever get in my diet, like prunes, elderberry, bilberry, artichoke, blackcurrant, cabbage, parsley, and the peels of fruits and vegetables, because there's actually a lot of nutrients in lots of the peels that we don't usually eat, and the parts of the fruits and vegetables that we don't usually like to eat. And so these don't just deliver the micronutrients, it's really about the coenzymes and the cofactors and all of these nutrients and synergistic compounds that work together. And this is why it's different from an isolated vitamin or mineral that you usually will find in like the pharmacy or the supplement store. And this improves absorption and assimilation because you have all of these things working together. Numerous clinical studies have reported increased levels of key antioxidants in the bloodstream after taking Juice Plus. And other studies show that Juice Plus helps to protect DNA from oxidative stress. So it's really cool that the science is there to confirm that. And I've actually seen my markers of inflammation, things like CRP and homocysteine, lower consistently. I've been tracking them since I've been starting these. And I was also able to clear my cystic acne of 9 years with the help of these and a more plant-based approach to my diet, which we teach inside the HSE. So that was really exciting for me because it wasn't just symptom wise, it was also like the numbers in my blood tests. The other product that we have are the shakes. If you guys do have the shakes on hand, you can just hold them up because I am out as well. I'm like the worst person ever, but I'm obsessed with them. And they're basically plant-based protein powders. And these really help to, yes, thank you. So chocolate and vanilla, you guys are the best. And so we're really looking at, supporting our digestive health and reducing inflammation and really enhancing that overall ecosystem. So in order to enhance gut health, a lot of people talk about just supplementing with probiotics. However, a lot of the time we don't really think about like the ecosystem, because just because you put probiotics in the gut doesn't mean that they're going to stick around or really survive or flourish or multiply, because they need an ecosystem. They need, an environment where they can survive and flourish. And this is done through our diet with prebiotics or fiber. And so according to the American Gut Project's findings, we should all be eating 30 or more different plant foods each week for optimal gut health. Who gets that? Let me know if you get at least 30 different plant foods every single week. I do a pretty good job, but I definitely don't reach that every single week. Pop in the chat how many different plant foods you think you get every week. I think this would be an interesting experiment because I've never really counted that, but that seems like a lot for most people. And so our shakes are packed with prebiotics, fiber, protein, greens, and a superfood blend of essential nutrients to help boost that number and that nutritional status. So this is not a meal replacement at all. This is about really giving yourself that nutrition, and they're absolutely delicious. So this is really important for women with PCOS, especially because we've been shown to lack diversity in the gut and have an increased risk for dysbiosis, and this can worsen the whole pathogenesis. And so research has suggested that for every 10 grams of prebiotic carbohydrates that reach the gut microbiota, about 3 grams of additional bacteria blossom into life. So that's roughly 3 trillion new organisms for just adding those 10 grams of fiber per day. That's pretty ridiculous. So fiber can really go a long way for you. And the average American only consumes these days 15 grams of fiber, even though we need to at least be getting 35. And our ancestors were said to consume upwards of 100 grams of 100 grams of fiber. So we're not doing too well, and we definitely need to, boost our intake. They're also great to reduce cravings, which is very common in PCOS as well, and curb that sweet tooth while giving the body what it actually needs instead of just getting like a sugary candy, which might curb your craving for like a minute or two, but then your body's not getting what it needs. So then it still is craving something. So this is where you're really getting that nutrition, but then those taste buds are also so happy. One of the things I want to address is soy, because it is one of the proteins found in this product. And this is like the biggest myth ever about soy is bad for hormones and PCOS. Soybeans have actually been proven to be effective at reducing insulin resistance, improving insulin sensitivity, but not only that. In PCOS women, quality soy has been shown to decrease markers of LH, which usually can inhibit ovulation. Also, triglycerides, LDL, androgens, improve BMI, hormonal status, biomarkers of oxidative stress after 12 weeks, as well as improve rates of ovulation, implantation, and pregnancy. Studies have also shown that soy can help to slow cancer progression, decrease risk of reoccurrence of breast cancer. So the bottom line is that there's like so many studies, I could go on like this forever, but the bottom line is that soy is not a problem food. Of course, avoid it if you don't do well with it specifically, but it's not a bad food for PCOS or hormones. In fact, it has many, many benefits, and research also shows that. You want to avoid the processed and GMO soy products. Of course, these are the ones that are harmful, but you want to choose whole, organic, non-GMO soy foods. And our soy is low processed, it's water washed, and that means that it retains nutrition and it's non-GMO. The last one, and then I'll stop talking, is the omegas. So I also don't have these on hand either. I'm the worst person ever, so if anybody else can help me out here. Our bodies don't produce these. I feel like Kat's gonna go get them. They don't produce these. Yes, she's the best. You're just on it. Thank you, girl. These essential fatty acids are not produced in our bodies, means that we have to get them, they're right there. We have to get them from an external source, either from the diet or supplementation. And these are a great, convenient way to do that on a daily basis. Why I love these is because they're plant-based, meaning sustainable. This company leaves the fish alone to go straight to the source, algae, which is what the fish eat to get those healthy fats. And I also have other ingredients like pomegranate seed oil, sea buckthorn, raspberry seeds, safflower seeds, tomato seed. So you have a balance of omega-3, 5, 6, 7, and 9. And omega-3 is especially important because it's lacking in our diets these days. We're getting way too much omega-6, not enough omega-3. This causes inflammation. And it's actually one of the most significant influences I've seen on positive hormonal outcomes in terms of my health, but also my clients looking at an omega-3 are including more of these omega-3 rich foods, because I've seen it do things like dramatically reduce PMS, improve cycles, improve hormonal symptoms, clear skin, and so much more. So it's naturally inflammatory. It's shown to blunt the stress response. It can reduce high androgens. It can improve menstrual regularity, can also reduce hirsutism, improve those blood lipids, support mood, really important for your brain health. It can speed up metabolism. These fats are not stored as fat. They're used up for energy. They regulate insulin function and they're required for making neurotransmitters. So important for mood and brain health. So that is it for me today. I hope that you learned something new. I hope that you enjoyed this. And we're not done though. We're going to pass it on to Leah, who's going to talk about the living well aspect of all of this. And it's going to give you a sneak peek into the Health Style Emporium.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I'm Leah. I'm another wellness coach in the Health Style Emporium, and I'm also a registered nurse, just to give a little background about myself. So I'm here to just share with you a little bit more about the program, the Health Style Emporium specifically. And like Laurence said, I'll give you a sneak peek in a second. But I just wanted to let you know what it is. And as Nicole mentioned earlier, it's a 16-week online holistic health program that our clients are guided through, and they can access it at any time around the world on your desktop, mobile device, whatever you use. And it's super user friendly, just so that you know. And again, like we said, we understand that health is multidimensional, and it's more than just eating and exercising, but it's about nourishing your mind, your body, and your soul. And the Health Style Emporium is really about creating that safe, beautiful, and positive space for our clients so that they can learn and grow through the program. The program also includes daily lifestyle principles paired with our nutrition that Laurence just explained so beautifully about. And, just so that you can really start optimizing your health through the mind, body, and soul, like I said. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Just bear with me for a second because my computer is so slow. I'm going to open. It loves to be super slow. Oh, how do I do this? Oh, share. All right. Can you guys see that? Give me a thumbs up. Yay? Okay, yes, perfect. All right, so this is our beautiful platform. It was actually just rebranded, so I love it so much right now. Loved it before too, but it's super awesome. So when you first open it up, you'll see the beautiful welcome video. There's also a starter guide here that you can download. And in that starter guide, there's activities that teach you about goal setting. It tells you all about our methodology within the Health Style Emporium, how to build healthy foundations. There's also some reflection in there so that you can, track your progress through the program and really individualize it to what you need through your journey. So when you go to the side here, we have all of our little tabs, and I'll take you through them quickly so that we don't waste too much of our time. But as you can see, there's recipes, and there's so many different ones from breakfast all the way through to dessert. You can see here, I'll just click on one of them and just show you how easy they are, how beautiful they look also, just to note on that. I'll click on one and just show you how super simple, not many ingredients, not many steps. I've made them before and I'm not the best cook ever, so if anyone else wants to comment on them. I love them so much. And also in terms of PCOS, as we talked about earlier, we have a dairy and gluten-free album. So that will help you to reduce inflammation, as Laurence was talking about. So there's, those options for you if you do have PCOS to help with your food intake and your nutrition as well. We also have a beautiful section all about different topics, and they are recorded webinars. So every month in the Health Style Emporium for the past few years since it started, we've done different master classes, and there's so many different topics, as you can see there. I'll just scroll through them a little bit. But there's topics like gut health, stress, anxiety, nutrition, finances. There's goal setting, breath work, moon tracking. Literally almost every topic is in there. And as you can see here, we have the beautiful Managing Your PCOS webinar. And it really goes into depth about what Laurence was talking about today, but just a huge deep dive, and it's much longer than this presentation. So that's something specific that you guys could take a look at as well if you do, want to learn more about PCOS. And then, sorry, I moved my screen around too much. We have a beautiful mindset and spirituality section. And as we were talking about earlier, like your mindset and your thoughts play such a huge role in your health and your wellness journey. So I think this is a section that a lot of people take for granted, but I think it's one of the most important sections. We have a self-love challenge, gratitude challenges, meditations. And just to let you know, a fun fact, it is scientifically proven that mindfulness, deep breathing, and meditation all contribute to decreased stress and anxiety in our bodies. And, this doesn't only, sorry, I lost my notes there. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about PCOS. So as Laurence was talking about earlier, people with PCOS are more sensitive to cortisol. So this is a really good section for you to dig deep into, so that will help you to, reduce those stress levels in your body and help you to start on that healing journey in a different way than maybe you thought of. Like, as we said, you tend to focus a lot on nutrition, but our mindsets play a huge role in that as well. And of course, we have a movement section, which we know exercise is super important in our health journeys as well. But we also know that everyone's different. Everybody, likes different things in terms of exercise. So we have a lot of different things that you can learn about in there, like running, there's yoga guides, Pilates. We do have a beautiful 6-week exercise guide that you can do at home or in the gym. So basically anything that you want, like, we know that movement is important, but you have to find what works for you. And we really do have all of that there in the Health Style Emporium so that you can explore what works best. And then the glow up here. So every once in a while, we run some mini programs within the Health Style Emporium. And this is when it's basically like you get a topic every day, you get the information sent straight to your phone, but we do have everything uploaded in here if you want to go back to it. But we have a beautiful, you can see the sleep. I can't see it because my thing's in the way. Yes, the sleep challenge there. So as we were talking about earlier with the circadian rhythms, that's a really awesome challenge. If you do have PCOS and you want to learn more about sleep, that's a super cool, there is it 6 day, 7 day? Can't read it now. You guys can see it. All right. We also have a beautiful skin section. So this section was created by 2 of our skin specialists in the program. And I think it's something that a lot of people take for granted, but if you didn't know, the skin is actually the largest organ of the body. And oh, need some water. Yeah, the skin is the largest organ in the body, and there's a lot of different components that affect your skin. And in here we have a webinar, an ebook, we have some DIY scrubs, there's even a skin challenge. So this is something that I definitely took for granted, and I've learned so much about skin health inside the Health Style Emporium. As well, there's a lot in here about reducing toxins, as Laurence was talking about, related to PCOS. So that's another section that you guys can take a deeper dive into. And finally, we have a beautiful resource section. So literally all the resources, there's so many in there. I'm just skimming through them. But everything that's like mentioned throughout the program, the resources are in there. There's different e-guides. There's the PCOS webinar resource. So that would be super important for you guys once you watch the webinar. But yeah, literally everything, finances again, moon tracking, nutrition. There's so many different things there to help you dive deeper into your health and your wellness journey. We also have, I'll just mention it, some recommended books and documentaries, which I think is super cool because I don't know about you, but like when you're trying to find a new book or podcast or something to listen to, it's really hard to just come up with something. So they're all there. There's so many different resources there for you as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. But yeah, so that is our Health Style Emporium program. And I hope that you guys can see how passionate we are about, not only nutrition, but holistic health and creating those healthy habits holistically for your mind, your body, and your soul, and just how important that is. And I just want to mention, like, there's so much in there. That's why the 16 weeks is awesome, but it's also awesome to just continue with it forever. I've been here for 3 years now, and I'm still learning so much. So I just wanted to mention that there. And I'm going to throw it back to Nicole, and she's going to wrap up for us.
Great. That was amazing, ladies. Thank you so much to both of you. I could feel the just passion and inspiration through the screen. I loved hearing about all of it. I hope all of our guests on tonight, have got some good value out of what we've shared. And if you've got any questions, please send them to the person who invited you here tonight. And if you're interested in learning more about the program or how you could join, please get in touch with them. We do also have a testimonial group where you can hear some amazing transformations about this program as well. If you're dealing with, specific concerns, we've definitely seen it all. And then something super exciting happening right now for the month of November, so a few more days here, we have this amazing 2-for-1 offer going on. So you can join the HSE this month and invite a friend or family member to experience the HSE for free. I've never seen this happen before. It's so great. So please don't be shy. Once again, we are here to help and add value to your lives, as much as we possibly can, especially in these stressful times. We've got another event happening. I believe it's next Thursday. Laurence, if you can correct me, I think it's next Thursday on holistic stress management. Something I think we can all use some help with, right? So yeah, if you've enjoyed today and would love to come again or invite a friend along, you're more than welcome to. Just connect with who invited you today. And then the last bit of information that I'd love to share is if you love this program and what we had to talk about this evening, you can see yourself wanting to share this with others as well. We do have a business opportunity. And like I said, it has changed my life. I know it's changed the other ladies on the line tonight as well. But if you're passionate about well-being, teaching others about health, or even just being an ambassador for the Health Style Emporium, connect with us and we can share more information about how it works and what it's all about. It's never been more important to have additional income streams, in my opinion, than right now, especially in these times. So that's why we're so passionate about sharing this. And there's no qualifications required to do this work. So all the training is provided for you, which is mind-blowing to me. I'm still blown away every day. It's incredibly flexible. You can choose your own hours and how much you want to put into your business. It's a wonderful community of super supportive, like-minded individuals. We have so much fun. We're super passionate about what we do. And yeah, it's a great way for you to grow as a person, learn new skills, and improve your health and mindset all around. And I think something for me that I've realized is it's a great way to hold myself accountable. So if we're out there coaching others, we have to be the ones who are taking care of ourselves. We're up on the stage. We can't be, letting ourselves slip. So it's a really great way to hold ourselves accountable and be the best versions of ourselves first. Again, just get in touch with whoever invited you tonight if you're interested in learning more. And I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. If there are no more questions, if there are, just get in touch. And thank you again so much for hopping on. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening or day, wherever you are.